the mercy of gurus, not one, multiple gurus, the entire Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya, all the way leading to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates, and finally Sri Radha and Krishna. And we seek the blessings of all the Vaishnavas in the universe, both present and past. Om Agyana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamashyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvatamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. I believe you've completed chapter 6 of Bhagavad Gita. Sometimes some Bhagavad Gita scholars or commentators speak that the Bhagavad Gita is like a sandwich, a transcendental sandwich, a yogic sandwich. In a sandwich, you have bread on the top, bread on the bottom, and the actual patty or tomatoes or whatever, the burger, if you will, in between. And it is that burger for which it's known. You don't go to a store and say, can I get an aloo tikki burger? But you don't say, can I get bread? So what is right in between is the main thing by which it's known. So like that in the Bhagavad Gita, the first 6 chapters form the bread on the top. The last 6 chapters form the bread on the bottom. And the middle 6 chapters form the actual essence of it. And if you see carefully, if you come from top, the 6th chapter touches where the burger is. And again, the 13th chapter touches where the burger is. So they are very essential. They have a tinge or a very strong influence of bhakti. So Bhagavad Gita's transcendental sandwich, the top 6 chapters are called karma. The bottom 6 chapters are called jnana. And in between is bhakti. It is that bhakti that gives our karma and our jnana the taste. Without it, neither karma nor jnana have the taste.
So I'll say the last sentence. Bhakti gives taste to our karma, our activities, every day that we do, and jnana, the knowledge that we have about ourselves, the world, or anything. Without bhakti, karma or jnana one may have, but it doesn't have the taste. It doesn't have the juice, or in Sanskrit we say rasa, the enjoyment. So Krishna very carefully keeps the middle part as the very juicy part. Now, it doesn't mean karma has no taste to it. Karma along with bhakti has taste. Jnana along with bhakti has taste. The sixth chapter is the one where it ends, bhakti begins. So the sixth chapter touches, in the visual of a sandwich, it touches the burger. And that which touches the burger, Krishna calls it Dhyana Yoga, or Vyasadeva calls it Dhyana Yoga. Of course, when Krishna and Arjuna are speaking, Krishna is not stopping the conversation and saying, okay, now I'm going to tell you Dhyana Yoga chapter. And then he doesn't stop and say, now I'm going to talk to you the seventh chapter. It is Vyasadeva who organized that conversation in a way that is easy to read and understand and assimilate. So the sixth chapter has 47 verses, and there are different ways in which we can sort of section it, if you will. The first 9 verses of the chapter talk about whether we have an enemy or a friend within us. That is our mind. And Krishna talks about the mind, either being a friend or an enemy. And in most cases, the mind is an enemy. Only in a cultured person, in a yoga driven lifestyle, or in a yogi, the mind is a friend. Otherwise, we should assume that it is an enemy. Then from verses 10 to 36, Krishna describes what is called the Ashtanga Yoga. Ashta means 8, Anga means limbs, and yoga, ways of which to connect with the Supreme. However, in 37 to 45, the third section, Arjuna says, whoa, this is very difficult. Now, if you look at it, some people can perform yoga. And of course, we'll describe what yoga is. What we know yoga today is not what yoga is being described, but however, yoga of posture. I mean, how many of us can do Mayurasana? For that matter, how many of us can do Padmasana for just sitting down, right? It's not possible. And then from verses 46 and 47, the last two, Krishna describes who a yogi is. The conclusion is one who is connected to the Supreme, to Krishna, with love and affection is the real yogi. Now one may wonder, he could have said that in the beginning of the chapter. Why give all this 45 verses of sit like this, nose like that, eyes like this, straight back, pranayam? Why? And that's because that is also a method that was used in the previous yuga, Satya Yuga. But by the time we get Kali Yuga, which we are all very fortunate residents of, we can't sit, we can't stand, we can't breathe properly, and whatever breathing is done is wasted breathing. However, at the end of the chapter is the concluding word of this is who is a real yogi, which we'll come to. So that's pretty much the chapter. However, the main essence of the chapter is about how one's mind plays games. So I want to share with you something that I had prepared called mind games. Okay, give me a second. Hold on, where is this? All right. I have to ask, because last time I was in a presentation with Ajita, I had not realized I was not sharing my slides. Can you see my slides?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Thank God. So this sixth chapter is about primarily what we call mind games, how the mind plays games with us. And what are some winning strategies that we need to figure out to be able to manage, control, and direct our mind. On the left side is a picture of Krishna driving Arjuna's chariot. Now, from a story perspective, it's obvious why Krishna became the chariot driver. However, this visual is very, very, very important. It summarizes the basic fundamental reality of life of bhakti. In the Katha Upanishad, it is described that the human body is like a chariot, a vehicle that has two wheels on this side, and each wheel has 12 spokes. That chariot is yoked to 5 horses. And the chariot driver, by using the reins, as you can see, Krishna is holding the reins of the horses and driving the chariot. And Arjuna, for the matter, the living being, Atma, is riding on this chariot. And this driver takes the chariot to different places. So the Katha Upanishad describes that the body is the chariot. The two wheels that move the body forward are day and night, each having 12 spokes or 12 hours each. The 5 horses are the 5 senses: the eyes, the nose, the ears, the tongue, and skin. And these 5 drive us from one situation to another, one situation to another. And if the horses are untamed, then the ride is very rough. And the path on which the chariot drives is what they call path of life. The passenger is the Atma, because the chariot is the body, Sharira. The Atma is the passenger. And Buddhi is the chariot driver. In fact, even in our cars right now, we have so much intelligence brought into the car. It will tell you there's a car on the side in your blind spot. It will tell you if you're going off from your lane to another lane, it will beep. It will tell you what the tire pressure is. It will tell you what the oil temperature is. It will tell you, in fact, in Tesla, it will tell you how many cars are around you, which car is a Tesla, etc. The intelligence is built in it. And that intelligence will drive you. In a Tesla, for example, if you are running out of charge, on its own, it will reconfigure the map to take you to a Tesla charging station. So that is one's intelligence. However, we want as a spiritualist, aspiring spiritualist, we want Krishna to be our intelligence. And therefore, Krishna becomes Arjuna's chariot driver. We invite Krishna into our lives. You be the intelligence. You tell us how to live our life. And Krishna might say, hey, I already told you. I already told Arjuna it's available for you. So living according to Bhagavad Gita means being guided by the supreme intelligence, Krishna's intelligence. And one who has such an intelligence or lives life accordingly is a yogi. That's the middle picture. So he or she can realize the ultimate reality, the absolute truth, a life of service to Sri Radha and Krishna, or Sita and Ram, or Lakshmi Narayan. And on the right side is somebody like us, whose mind is a whole bunch of things, and the mind plays a lot of tricks. Of course, we wouldn't know all this without Srila Prabhupada's blessings. And if he had not made Bhagavad Gita easy, we would have looked at it and said, not for me. In fact, most people don't keep Bhagavad Gita at home because they think it was spoken before a war. So if you read Bhagavad Gita, there will be a war in your life, which is not true. The Bhagavad Gita was spoken for Arjuna to traverse through, to manipulate and maneuver through an entire war without losing his mind, both literally and figuratively. So then, what are some mind games that we are dealing with? Our mind basically has thoughts. Mind is a repository of feelings or emotions, and most importantly, thoughts. And these thoughts are converted into or reflect as feelings and emotions. And so in our mind, We have about 4 types of thoughts. One thought is called ordinary thoughts. Like, hey, I'm awake, I need to brush my teeth, I need to shave. Not me, but generally men or women. Uh, we need to put on our clothes, go to work. Very ordinary, everyday thoughts. What am I going to have for breakfast? What's planned for lunch? What time is the train? What time is the bus? What's my assignment due today? What project am I working on? Very ordinary, day to day, really inconsequential thoughts. Then we have what we call completely wasteful thoughts. These have no value. They're pretty much trash, such as where mind goes into mostly all thoughts that are about the past are wasteful thoughts. Oh, I wish I had done computer science when I was in college. I wish that friend was still my friend. I wish I did not break up with that girlfriend or boyfriend. I wish in my past, if I had made that investment today, I would be richer. I wish, oh, only if I could, I should have, I would have. These are all wasteful thoughts. Anything about the past, it's gone. You cannot do anything about it except learn some lessons. But brooding about the past is a complete set of wasteful thoughts. And if you notice, in an ordinary person, more than 50% of thoughts are these wasteful thoughts. Then we have another set of thoughts, which we call negative thoughts. These negative thoughts are pretty much like wasteful thoughts, but they're not wasteful because we do something with them. We want to hurt someone. We are hurt by them. And we come up with ways and means of strategies of how to make someone else's life difficult. Our thoughts of anger, frustration, hurt, they're all stemming from how am I suffering and how can I make someone else's life a little bit more difficult. Because tit for tat, I have to have an even score. Last time they said something bad to me, now when I said something back to them which is bad, I feel great. Oh, I feel good. Keh diya, acha kar diya. That's negative thoughts. They don't take us forward or upward in life. In fact, they take us backward. Backward in the sense, from a karmic perspective, backward, that instead of using the human life in a valuable way, we use the human life to get something worse than where we are. For example, animal life. And finally, these are not thoughts about a pretty girl. These are positive thoughts shown by thumbs up. These are thoughts that have value. These are thoughts about planning, about seva, about benefiting others, doing some service in the world, trying to bring about good for my life and for someone else's life, even if it is small deed, something that is benefiting others and myself. These are good thoughts. And that, although tiny, our idea is to expand them in our life. Now, the negative thoughts, the wasteful thoughts, and ordinary thoughts occupy more than 90% of our thoughts. They're not equally distributed as 25, 25, 25, and 25. They're very disproportionate. Positive thoughts are probably 1 in 100. And the whole idea of living a sattva guna life, a devotional life, is to increase the quality of these kinds of thoughts, quality and quantity. So that's pretty much what the mind is filled with. And so when the mind is filled with wasteful, ordinary, and negative thoughts, it works as an enemy, as the picture on the left. But if the mind is filled with thoughts that are of sattva guna or beneficial to us and beneficial to others together, then the mind is a friend. When the thoughts are about connecting with the ultimate good, Lord Shri Krishna, then the mind is helping us move in the track. Sometimes people think it's good for me, it may not be good for others. So that goodness has some selfishness. Ideally, live and let live. Find things to do that is beneficial for you and along the way benefit others. Many of Ajita's uh, friends and followers are entrepreneurs and they want to do something good. But if you want to do something for oneself, that's great. But doing something that is beneficial to others also is even greater. And that is rare. Otherwise, doing only good for oneself is very selfish. If everyone thinks like that, then the world is not a joyful place. Every human being has the responsibility from a Vedic perspective to do good to others as well, to leave something for others. And that's when the mind is a friend. So Krishna describes that one should use the mind to uplift oneself. Uddharet atmanam atmana. Na avasadayet, meaning don't use the mind to become a worse fellow. I'll tell you a story about envy. There were two friends, best friends, and everything they did in life, they did together. And one day, one of the friends had a dream. A genie appeared in his dream and said, I will fulfill 3 wishes for you. Whatever you ask, I will give it to you. So this fellow was very surprised. Oh, and before he asked his wishes, the genie said, remember, on one condition, whatever you ask, your friend will get the double of it. And he said, yeah, that's okay. Great. So first time he said, can I get a 6-bedroom house in whatever location, South Calcutta or Banjara Hills in Hyderabad or Pedder Road in Bombay, whatever. I get wonderful 6-bedroom house with. Immediately, he was in this massive house. He ran out of his house. His friend was his neighbor. He ran and to tell his friend, can you believe it? I have a 6-bedroom house. And his friend said, yes, unbelievable. I'm in a 12-bedroom house. And they were very happy together. Then the genie appeared the next night or a couple of days later and said, wish number 2, what would you like? He said, I have a 6-bedroom house. Maintaining it is difficult. Can I get $10 million? Poof! There was a whole bag filled with $10 million. So he ran to his friend. I have $10 million. He said, yes, I have 20. And by this time, the friend felt, hey, I'm doing all the asking. That fellow is just getting for free. So he thought, what can I do by asking in a way that I come better out of it? And that night, he slept happily, thinking, if the genie comes, I will ask. A few nights later, the genie appeared again and said, hey, third and final wish, what would you like? He said, can you please poke one of my eyes out? The genie said, what? He said, yes, please. And so he became blind in one eye. So he ran to his neighbor's house to see what had happened. And his friend lost both his eyes. So this is where the mind becomes an enemy. That others benefiting by me is not okay. I need to always be better off. This is not a friend. This is an enemy. It has 2 horns and a tail. So then Krishna describes that the mind has to be cultured. And for culturing the mind, he offers this method called Ashtanga. Ashta Anga. There are 8 Angas here. And we're going to start from the bottom left, Yama. Okay? Yama, Niyama, etc. So Yama literally means to control, to stop, to hold back. Hold on a second, I have some papers here. All right. So yama is a set of rules or regulations, all the do nots. From our childhood, we have heard our parents and grandparents tell us, don't do this, don't do that. Do this, don't do that. Don't sit like this. So yama is all the nisheda. In Hindi or Sanskrit, it's called nisheda. For example, violence is a nisheda. Telling lies is we are told don't speak like satyam, ahimsa, etc. So one should live one's life by yamas. Then there are niyamas. Niyam means the do's, the discipline one should follow. Shaucham, cleanliness. Arjavam, simplicity. Brahmacharya, celibacy. Especially a student of spiritual life should maintain celibacy. And the room for engaging in sex is given within the household life. Then he says asana. Now most yoga practitioners only concern themselves with asanas. Asanas are on the physical platform where your body allows you to be able to function without pain or difficulty. Therefore, there is the practice of bending, twisting, and all that, so that every muscle in the body becomes relaxed and toned. So that when you sit down for chanting japa or meditation in this particular case, it's not like my back is hurting, my knee is hurting, sciatica nerve, this thing. All that's not that. Most people think that this is yoga. This is only 1/8 of yoga. Then these are all on the gross level, the very physical, bodily level. Then a little more subtle is pranayama. The word actually is prana, means air, that which sustains life, and ayama means movement. Remember, yama and ayama means that which controls or regulates prana, the air that one breathes. Why? Because the air that we are breathing through this physical body comes in contact with the subtle body. And it is the subtle body that is mostly agitated, and that is why the gross body is agitated. If you see, anytime there is a disease, the disease always inside out. Cancer, ulcers, stress, blood pressure, diabetes is all the organs telling us something is wrong. But that's on the gross side. The organ becomes disturbed because the subtle body, the mind, is disturbed. So if a mind is happy and healthy, the body is also healthy. And so to regulate that, one does pranayama, breathing, controlled breathing. Then the next stage is called pratyahara, prati ahara. Ahara literally means to eat, to consume, or to collect. So pratyahara means to stop collecting. What is one collecting in the first place? One is collecting a lot of data through the 5 senses: eyes, nose, ears, tongue, skin. We are collecting data about the world around us. Oh, that's like this, that's like that's gray color, that's blue color, that's green color, whatever. We're hearing sounds, we're touching, we're smelling, tasting, seeing, and all of that information is being stored in the mind. So to be able to stop collecting that information, we close our eyes, for example. Of course, we can't close our ears, but we can direct the sound in such a way that we don't hear extraneous sounds. Okay, so that's pratyahara. Then Krishna says dhyana. Dhyana comes from the root word dhi. Dhi means intelligence. You make choices in a way that facilitates you to think about Krishna. Thinking. remembering Krishna. We cannot remember Krishna if there is a lot of noise, chatter inside our mind. That's why people say, oh, all I want is some peace of mind, peace of mind. That becomes a person's best friend, peace of mind. But peace of mind is not something that comes from outside. Peace of mind comes from situating ourselves in a lifestyle where the vibrations or disturbances are minimized. Now, that doesn't mean we have to run away. In this case, Krishna says one should go to the Himalayas where there is no crowd, where there is no disturbance. Of course, nowadays, Himalaya is also crowded. Therefore, Arjuna says, it's not practical for me, Krishna. You're telling me to go away somewhere. I have a family here. I have a job. I have to travel by train and bus, and there is honking, traffic, heat, all of that. So it's not practical for me. But dhyana means to get the mind directed towards Krishna. A more mature dhyana is called dharana. Dharana means to hold, or a flow, dhara, we say. Oil is flowing like a dhara. So dharana or dhara means a very unstoppable, clean flow. The mind is not just once in a while pinging Krishna, but actually now connected. There is a flow. We're not thinking of Krishna once in a while. Oh, Krishna. And then the rest of the day I forget. But the mind is nicely connected. Our Wi-Fi connection, as you say, is strong. And finally, samadhi. Samyak rupena dhiyate. Our intelligence is completely absorbed in the Supreme. And samadhi doesn't, generally we say samadhi means dead people. Wo samadhi ho gaye. It's not. Samadhi means alive, working, whatever job, family situation, taking care of this and taking care of that. At least outwardly it looks like that, but the intelligence and mind is fully in connection with Krishna. In fact, Krishna is driving that person's actions and thoughts fully. But to come to samadhi, one must follow all of this. And Arjuna, when he hears this, he says, oh, hold on a second, Krishna. What you've told me is not possible. Why? Because this is how my mind is. It's restless. Whenever I sit down to think of something, so many things are going on. It's restless. It won't stay on one topic. It will jump from one to another, especially, Instagram, when I just keep scrolling, it's not on any one thing. It's easily agitated. One day I might think, I'm feeling so good. Today is a positive day. Someone says, or even in the traffic, someone cuts me off on the road. I become very agitated. And the other thing is, I try to control my mind, but I want it to go this way. It takes me that way. It's very, very strong. I'm unable to hold it back. And when I try to teach him something, my mind is very obstinate. He says, no, you can try what you want, but I'm not going to follow you. He's very obstinate. And ultimately, very unsteady. Today like this, tomorrow like that. 5 minutes later this way, 5 minutes later that way. Very unsteady, Krishna. How do you expect? So Krishna smiles and he says, yes, that is true. The mind is very, very, very difficult to control. However, this is how one should live so that it is progressive. It's not that our mind is disturbed today and somehow tomorrow, like the flip of a switch, it'll be fine. It won't be. It's like going to school where it takes at least 16 years to get a degree. A bachelor's degree comes in 16 years. It starts with kindergarten. Then we learn A, B, C, D. We learn numbers. We learn what whole numbers are. We learn what integers are. Then we learn what fractions are. We learn to add them. We learn to subtract them, multiply them, divide them. Slowly and slowly we become cultured and educated, supposedly. Then we have certain things that we have to work on. Homeworks, small tests, exams, assignments. And slowly we come to, after 16 years, we're given a bachelor's degree. Like that, it's a regular every day. And it's not like we go to school once a month, we go to school every day. So Krishna says, Abhyasa. In Sanskrit, Abhyasa, generally we think of it as studying, but Abhyasa means persistent effort to attain and maintain a state of physical, mental, and spiritual tranquility. It's persistent. We don't give up. Just because there is failure or difficulty or a challenge, we don't give up. We persist. We try very hard to maintain all physical, mental, and spiritual tranquility. And is it a challenge? Absolutely. It's not easy. Bhakti is easy, but not cheap. But to make it easy, we have to consciously, deliberately accept and make choices to live like this, and deliberately, consciously choose not to do something. But if we don't, then our abhyasa becomes broken. Then Krishna says, that's not just one. Abhyasa is one track. The other track is called Vairagya. Vairagya means detachment from matter and engagement of the mind and spirit. So this detachment is not that I have to say, I have to be detached from this situation. That's just words. But detachment means looking at the situation, whatever the situation we are in, and asking ourselves, how best can I act or speak or think in this situation such that my connection with Krishna becomes stronger or does not become weaker. I want to strengthen my connection with Krishna. What should I do? Just thinking like that, we get intelligence from the Supreme Intelligent Krishna sitting in our heart. But if we don't consider it, if we react instead of respond, reaction means someone said something, some situation came. Reaction is not Vairagya. Reaction is not Vairagya. Responding, to consider what's the best thing I can say or do in this situation such that Krishna is pleased. That is true Vairagya, detached from the circumstance and attached to Krishna. And therefore Krishna says, therefore Krishna says in the end of the chapter that a real yogi, yoginam api sarvesham, among all the yogis, mad gatena antara atmana, one who within his heart wants to move in my direction, madgata. And how? This is the quality, shraddhavan, one who has faith in me. He has faith in the process of bhakti. He has faith in the gurus. He has faith in scripture. He has faith in me. Shraddhavan, bhajate. Bhajate means one who lives or worships. Yo mam. Such a person who worships me with faith. Sa me yuktah tamaha. That person is the best of those who are connected. Yukta means to connect. And tama, yukta tama means the best connection. Uttama, best or high, the best we say. Uttam. Yukta tama mataha. Krishna said, that's my opinion. Me mataha, that's my opinion. And therefore, Krishna is inviting us that actual dhyana yoga means culturing our lifestyle, touching mind and body in a way that we can be connected to Krishna in all circumstances. That's chapter 6 in essence. I'll open it to some comments, questions, or your own reflections of what's working for you or what's not working for you.
Okay, feel free to ask your questions. You can unmute your mic or type in the chat section if you're shy. While they're asking the question, Prabhuji, I had a question. I was thinking you talked about the three kinds of thoughts: the lamentation about the past, the negative, trying to hurt someone, and the positive thoughts. Is this coming from Sattva Rajatama, or is it something a little different?
What, these thoughts?
Like the categorization of those thoughts. Like, did you categorize it based on the modes of nature, or was it
Not
just?
necessarily. No,
Okay.
not necessarily. These are just categories of thoughts.
Okay, cool. Okay. Anybody wants to ask? Feel free to unmute. Hare Krishna, Nityananda Prabhu Prabhuji. I have a question. Go ahead, Rahul.
Rahul,
Yeah. No. I will ask Eve itself. Actually, my question is: we know that we are the soul and part and parcel of Sri Krishna, but the situation is like we get influenced by the modes and get attracted to it. How to come out of that state of influence and be strongly situated in Krishna consciousness?
So the last two slides were Abhyasa and Vairagya. Abhyasa means practice. Just be at it every day, little bit. In finance, we are taught time value of money. Every day, little bit of investment over time grows because of compounding effect. Like that, we do stuff every day. It's not like once a week, once a month, I will chant. Every day, whatever we can do, every day, little doses. And we may know we are the soul only at the philosophical level, but we may not have realization just yet. At least I don't have. But we try to live a life in a way that makes that understanding here move here. This is realization. This is knowledge. And what brings stuff from here to here is application. Actually living by what Krishna is speaking in the Bhagavad Gita. Then we find that the knowledge is descending into realization. We call them Gyan and Vijnana. Gyan is knowledge. Knowledge by itself is useless, but Vijnana is useful. Jnana, when not used or not applied, remains. It remains useless or ineffective. So Abhyasa and Vairagya. Vairagya means don't let failures or little stumbling situations make us disheartened. Get up and move forward again.
Okay.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
You're welcome.
All right. Janak Prabhu, would you like to ask your question that you had? So Janak Prabhu's been saving a question for you, which I couldn't answer.
Wow, Janak, what a name. Yeah, please.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Danvat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So, Prabhu, I read one article by Srila Prabhupada, not by Srila Prabhupada, but somebody wrote a conversation with Srila Prabhupada where he had mentioned that matter is a symbol of undeveloped consciousness. So, and then he went on to explain, like, just like we have nails on our body which have slightly lesser consciousness than the rest of the body, but that does not mean it is totally unconscious. That's what he said. So Prabhuji, I want, because I'm perpetually exploring, like, for example, animal life, plant life, and how far can we expand our circle of compassion. Like, if we start treating matter as life, then we have to become doubly more careful when we start using matter, material energy. On the other hand, in Bhagavad Gita, there was a shlok that Lord Krishna mentions that there is a para energy and an apara energy. where clearly there is a distinction between matter, and that is at least what I understood. So I got confused in that, Prabhu. So if you can elaborate a little bit on that.
Excellent question. First of all, matter is not conscious at all. It's called inferior in that sense, that although it comes from Krishna, it is inferior because it is not conscious. My phone, my shirt, my beard is not conscious. Nails.
Okay.
However, it grows because because there is a soul in the body. It is by the touch of the conscious that the unconscious seems to have movement. When I move my arms, my shirt sleeves also move. It seems that it is conscious, but it is not.
Okay.
When Krishna says, my material energy, bhinna prakriti, bhinna means separate.
Okay.
One may think that it is separate from Krishna, but that's not the bhinna in the chapter. Bhinna means we look at the material energy and don't see its connection with Krishna, therefore it is bhinna. Just like your car or scooter or motorcycle may be parked here and you may be inside the building and I don't see that it is connected to you, I think it is available for me to take away. That is the meaning of bhinna. So there is a conscious energy and there is an unconscious or inert energy called matter. Soul and matter combined look as if even matter is energized. Our appreciation for animals is because of the soul residing in a body like that because of certain choices it has made. So our compassion, our affection, care, concern is for that soul that is trapped in that body from a soul that is trapped in this body. Janak, does that make sense
Yes,
to you?
Prabhu. Yes, lot of insight. So thanks, Prabhu. Yeah.
Okay, glad. Okay, next is Devashish wanted to ask a question. Devashish Chatterjee.
Yeah, sure. Thanks. Namaskar. We discussed about mind, we discussed about soul, and we discussed about different conditions of mind that we pass through basically. So my question is basically that if we have a soul inside our body, what is the impact of all those thought processes in the soul? And to continue basically, we understand that the soul is immortal. It ultimately gets uh, acquainted with Krishna when we actually die, and then again that soul comes back. So when the soul comes back again, does it have all these qualities that they have gathered during this period of life, or the bad qualities that they have derived in these qualities of condition of life?
Excellent question. Devashish, will you allow me to modify your language of question a little bit?
Yeah, please. I think I have asked you in a very Hayward language, basically very straightforward. So you can just polish it up, basically, the
The
thought
reason
process.
I'm asking for this reason. Our soul is not in my soul is not in my body. That's the language is spiritually the language needs to be slightly modified. I am residing inside this body. It's I who's residing in this body. And we have a gross body that is made of skin, flesh, pus, urine, stool, mucus, blood, plasma. And then there is a subtle body that is made of mind, intelligence, and ahankara, mana buddhi ahankara. So there are two layers, subtle body, gross body. And inside or within the subtle body is where I'm residing. Both the subtle body and gross body are not conscious, they're inert. Because I am inside or I'm living within the subtle and gross body, these are activated. just like a car. The car itself is inactive or inert. Only when the driver sits in and turns the car on, then it seems like it has come alive. It says, hi, welcome, nice to see you. Where would you like to go? You have less gas, you want to go there. All of it becomes active because there's a driver in it. As soon as the driver leaves, everything is dead or inert. And it's the soul who has the capacity to choose, but because of the subtle body, the mind and the intelligence, influenced by the three gunas or modes of nature, it makes choice within the material paradigm only. The mind is not choosing. We are choosing through the mind. So an example I've always given to students is, I have a light, and let's say it's white light or yellow incandescent bulb. And if I put a red film around it, the light that comes into the room is red color. On top of it, if I put a blue color screen or filter, I get a purple light. Then if I put a yellow or a green one, and whatever filters I put, the light becomes either diminished or colored accordingly, although the original light is still yellow. So the soul is living in this world unaware because of these filters of mind and intelligence and false ego and body, and thinks of itself as this body. So when it goes from one body to another body, the physical body is burnt or buried or whatever, but the subtle body moves into another. Just the way today you're wearing shirt and pant, tomorrow you may wear t-shirt and shorts, and the third day you may wear a banyan and underwear, and come back to wearing formal school uniform or whatever. It keeps changing. Dress changes, but you don't change. So we take the thoughts, our mentality from one life into another life. And you want more to study chapter 15 Bhagavad Gita. Krishna describes how the senses and the mind combine and are organized in a way for us to think, I am this body.
Okay. I hope that helps, Debashish.
Absolutely perfect. I'm overwhelmed basically. Thank you, Pranamji.
Okay. So Krishanu,
Too much information.
Krishanu is asking, Hare Krishna Prabhuji, please accept my humble obeisances. Whenever I get thoughts, I'm unable to consciously distinguish that whether this thought is something I should give my attention or it's trash. It just keeps on coming. How can I consciously make a decision to stop or decrease these lamenting thoughts from past or useless thoughts, because I get a lot of it? And Akshat said he has the same question.
Well, if we try to cultivate a lifestyle that is more within Sattva Guna, so think of it, Sattva Guna takes us forward, actually takes us upward, Rajaguna takes us forward, and Tamaguna takes us backward. So thoughts from the past are influenced by a whole lot of Tamaguna. If we try and live at least the proportion of our life within the mode of Sattva or goodness, then the tendency to react to what's coming is less. It gives us the space and time to consider what we want to do. So the question to ask ourselves and live by life is, how much of my lifestyle is in Sattva Guna? It doesn't happen overnight, okay? Remember those two words. If anything you remember from today, Abhyasa, Vairagya. Abhyasa and Vairagya.
Krishano, clear? You have any follow-ups?
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. It's ridiculous.
Hare Krishna.
Chandresh Prabhu from Gurgaon is asking, Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I'm a student of yoga and practice every weekday. Please advise 2 or 3 things one should do daily.
I mean, it's a little vague kind of question, so I'm struggling to say.
Chandrashubha, would you like to unmute yourself and just ask a little bit more clearly?
I mean, if you're a student of yoga, you're asking for what to do within that practice of yoga that you're doing, or anything Krishna consciousness, 2 or 3 things? Not sure.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji Chandrashekar. So not in yoga, because whatever I try to do, I do. But in general, in Krishna consciousness, in addition to practicing the Mahamantra, but what else can one do? This was a general question.
Oh, okay. Develop a culture of hearing. Hearing from Srila Prabhupada, or hearing from realized or senior or more evolved, I shouldn't say evolved, more experienced devotees, their realizations on Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, like that. When one hears from ears, we see the world. Generally, we think I see the world from my eyes, which is not true. Because what we see is not reality. But what we hear is reality. Therefore, in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna uses the word Jnana Chakshushaha or Shastra Chakshushaha. When there are 2 things. One is called Srishti. Srishti is creation, or on a general basis, all our circumstances in front of us that we meet every day. And Srishti by itself is neutral. But there is something called Drishti, is by how we see it. By that we react. The Vedic example is a rope. When there is no light, you see a rope and you think it's a snake. Actually, there is no snake, but we project the presence of a snake. So these eyes by themselves give us wrong information, but the drishti is from hearing. When one hears Bhagavad Gita regularly every day, or Srimad Bhagavatam, like that, scriptures from someone, our drishti of the world changes. So I would, if you're not already doing, like you're doing here, Philosophy Friday, make it a practice to hear something, some katha every day, even if it is for 5, 10, 15 minutes. Somehow make that time, and it will benefit like anything.
And there's plenty of lectures of Nityananda Pran Prabhu actually there on YouTube, giving Srimad Bhagavatam classes, and a lot of workshops on various topics. So plenty of content that we can hear from him or Srila Prabhupada.
And hundreds of other people. There's so much out there.
Yeah, but isn't it, Prabhuji, that we'll get confused if we hear like multiple other, you have one thing you did for me as a mentor was kept me very focused. So I'm not hearing multiple things, because in India, as you know, a lot of times tradition, heritage, grandmother said this creeps in, and it's not really clear, like as exactly as Srila Prabhupada gave it or the disciplic succession gave it.
And they have a forum like this to come and ask you, so you can set things right.
All right. Let's see. Next question is Chandrashubham said.
Hare Krishna Babu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Go ahead.
Yeah. Hare Krishna Babuji. Please take my humble obeisances. My question is that the 5,000 years ago, Lord Krishna taught this Ashtanga Yoga to Arjuna. So after that, Maharshi Patanjali forwarded this knowledge, and he wrote a scripture also known as Patanjali Yoga Sutra. So nowadays we also know that there is a yoga pit known as Patanjali Yoga Pit, and also they are practicing the Ashtanga Yoga. So how they are practicing in this era? So I would like to know that if that you told that this type of that Ashtanga Yoga is not possible in this in this Kali Yuga, but still they are practicing. So
Sure.
my question is that, yeah.
First of all, there is also Patanjali ghee. Okay. But the thing is, I did not say we should not practice in Kali Yuga. Arjuna said in Dwapara Yuga, mere bas ki baat nahi hai. It's not for me. Now, are there persons for who Ashtanga Yoga works? Yes. If you follow Yoga, Patanjali's Yoga Sutras properly, you cannot practice it in Kolkata or wherever you are. You have to go Shuchau Deshe Pratishthape. You have to go to a clean, pure place. You tell me where that is, perhaps in the Himalayas. Okay. There he says you have to sit in a particular way. You have to move your eyes to the tip of your nose with your head and neck and straight. Rahul, are you a student or a professional?
Actually, I'm the both, a student as well as I'm professional also.
You're a professional student.
Yeah.
So in your office, sit like this and see what your boss tells you. It's not practical for persons like Arjuna, who's a fighter, is a warrior with family. Now, if you give up everything and go to the mountains, great. It's not recommended, because what will you do in the mountain after half an hour of sitting there? Then we're wondering, hey, my Facebook status says feeling happy in the Himalayas. It's not going to work like that. So the amount of people for whom Ashtanga Yoga is practical is a very thin sliver of population. But people, common people, pedestrian people like me and you or Ajita or any one of us, I'm sorry, I'm saying you, it's very, very difficult. So you'll find people only doing the asana part, the yama, niyama, pranayam, pratyahar. It's not so easy. Pranayam just doesn't mean I do a little kapalabhati because my blood pressure is okay. That's not pranayam. I mean, it is only a small piece of pranayam. Am I making sense, Rahul?
Yes, Prabhuji. That's correct, Prabhu.
So until then, have Patanjali ghee and enjoy food. Enjoy the food offered.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you very much.
The first lesson Patanjali teaches is no sex. That means 99% of yoga practitioners are disqualified.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji, for very kindly taking all the questions and having time for Q&A as well. And thank you all of you for asking. Is there a last question? Okay. Yogesh Kannan is saying, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, very soothing to listen to you talk. Yes, completely agree. Thank you so much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you so much for guiding us with your wisdom, and hope to see you at the end of chapter 7 shortly.
Thank you. And thank you for allowing me to be part of your wonderful gathering where you're studying Bhagavad Gita. I mean, just because I'm being asked to speak, it doesn't mean I know better. It's just I've been trying for a longer time. Let's put it that way. And I'm happy to be with you. And hopefully, Krishna willing and permitting, we'll see you at the end of 7th chapter again. Thank you, Ajita.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, everyone. Hare Krishna. Have a good night.
Thank you.